Hi, everyone. We're back at it again. I'm Mauricio Suarez, and I'm here with Ian Parks. We're here at episode 8. And today we are going to continue the conversation of feedback loops. And in our previous episode, we spoke about, how to create feedback loops to understand whether you're delivering a great customer experience. Again, we've spoke about customer experience and client experience for a while, for a couple of episodes now, given it's so crucial to deliver a pristine experience. So that's why we consistently talk about this. And now we're in feedback loops. But today, now that we talked about creating the feedback loops, we are going to discuss using those loops to measure client happiness. Because one thing is the experience that you create, then it's the feedback loops, and now it's the happiness that clients get from that experience and that feedback. So let's start there, Ian. What does client happiness mean to you?
Yeah, I think it means everything, really. And I guess this is kind of one of those moments where it probably will zoom out a little bit to start off this episode of the podcast and kind of zoom in as we go through. But, stepping back from this, I guess it's about the human element of technology. What does happiness mean to me? Well, actually, it's like in the truest sense of the word. We want people to be happier using our platform and using our tool than when they weren't using it before. And, I think that's probably the key motivator for, what gets me out of bed in the morning and does what to do what we're doing with Stockpress is just getting out there and actually feeling like you're having an impact on where people are working in the job that they do. So, when I go back, a couple of years when we started thinking about turning Stockpress into a business, I kind of looked around at the landscape of technology around us and looked at those companies that had materially made a difference to the way that we work. And, the one that still always sticks out for me was Slack. Slack had such an impact in terms of the way that we communicate as a team, actually communicating better as a team and being able to do it with that kind of thread that's recorded. Especially in a remote world, just makes you feel a bit closer and a bit more like you have that kind of conversational space to take it from being work to actually it being just more of an ongoing kind of dialogue. And I think that's really what that happiness element means to me is people being able to feel more connected to the other people they're working with and therefore feel like they can do a better job and therefore go home at the end of the day having done a better job and just feel a bit brighter about what it is they're doing, or feel like they can actually spend more of the time doing the things that they're good at or want to be doing rather than those administrative tasks that seem to take up so much time. So I think from the human perspective, happiness is like genuine true happiness around like people being able to have a good experience. What does happiness of our clients mean to our business? Well, usage, number one. Like we can assume that people are happily using it if they're in there all the time and they seem to be getting the most out of it. So I think from happiness from that perspective is we see great usage. We can assume that people are happy kind of using the platform. They're sharing from the platform. More people are introduced to it. But again, like it's nothing without that human part of it at the end of the line, which is hopefully a bit more of a smile on people's faces whilst they're doing their job. So I think that's the big thing for me. And I think like how we define it and how we measure it, it is probably changing all the time. And I know this is something that you always have kind of top of your mind, is like how businesses typically define and measure client happiness. So I'd love to kind of get your sense of that.
I love that question, and to me it sort of has it's a two-part answer. You have the lagging indicators and you have the leading indicators. A former leader of mine, a guy that I reported to for a long time, that is a dear friend, Dave Torres. I just gotta say his name. Give honor to the name. he taught me that the only leading indicator in sales is the quality of the conversations that you have. And I think it applies to this here, right? You have all the lag indicators that typically companies use. Like you mentioned one of them, usage is one, retention, leading indicators of retention, renewals, of course, the amount of, I don't know, the amount of tickets or the amount of interactions that the companies have with your support team. That means that they use the product, they want to continue using it, they just have questions. The ideas that they have for the product, the use cases, the case studies, and the panels, the interviews, the events that they co-host with you, the co-marketing effort. So it's all of these, and at the end of the day, also like the NPS, the Net Promoter Score. And I might be missing a couple. If for folks listening, if you have any ideas and anything that I missed, just add them to the comments. We would love that. So I think the lag indicators are very important because that gives you an idea of how valuable and like a tangible way to tie enterprise value, business value to actual happiness. Like, what are your clients thinking of your product, and do they see value in the product? And then there's the other element, the leading indicators of happiness, I guess, right? It's the proactiveness that clients have with you and the business has with the clients to keep the relationship alive. And we spoke about feedback in our last episode, and I think the feedback loops are incredibly important because at the end of the day, it's a relationship, and regardless if it's a business relationship, relationships thrive when there is openness and there's consistent communication. So I think that feedback is incredibly important because if I get feedback, that means that the other person or the other business cares about me listening to that. And if I need to course correct or adjust, then working towards that. But when you don't get any feedback, when the NPS is all tens or no replies, and there's this silence, that to me is a yellow turning red flag that worries me when it comes to to measuring and to understanding that client happiness.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it, midpoint in that part there about being proactive around it. And actually, I think it's a massive part of this is I don't think it's about making assumptions. It's about getting on the front foot. I think it goes back to something you mentioned very early on in this, like that quality of conversation. The quality of the conversation leads to better quality of relationship, leads to the ability to be more proactive around asking the right questions around whether people feel, good about things or not good about things and are more like kind of likely to open up about it. So, I mean, turning that into practical kind of stuff that people can take away, like how do you create a more proactive approach to, improving that client happiness?
Don't forget about your clients. Treat them like clients, not customers. Because all clients are customers, not all customers are clients. Customers are just one-off transactions. Clients is a back and forth relationship. So treat your customers. Eliminate the word customer. Just turn your customers into clients. That would be the first thing, and that's one of the things that we do actually when Stockpress has like new functionalities. We have the the walkthroughs and the webinars that our clients love, right? Just making sure that you continuously hear the feedback from the clients, work on whatever you need to work on, and then as you start launching more functionalities, more products, more stuff, bug fixes, all that stuff, just proactively communicate that And regardless of the client size, just pinging them on a recurring basis is incredibly important. Just to check on them, see what's up, see how they're doing. I see this a lot. Like, for example, for renewals, many businesses wait till like last like 60, 30 days and are looking for the renewal for the economic component. For it's like, this is important to me as a business because of the retention aspect, but they forget about what does the other business feel about the relationship. So being proactive and reaching out like 120, 90 days before to have a conversation is, to me, incredibly important.
Yeah, well, the entire product business side of this is a feedback loop. Without the clients out there to give us feedback and actually take that feedback on board, be prepared to listen to it so that we can get the product better for everyone else. That is the biggest feedback loop you'll ever have. And if you shut yourself down to hearing what people think, good or bad, you're not going to create a better product. So no, I love that. I think it's like it's a good reminder, because I think sometimes we can all be guilty of shying away from wanting to hear things, and actually we shouldn't. It's like it's the superpower.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that we're on the topic, because we spoke about how to use the feedback loops and the leading lagging indicators of client happiness and some of the strategies to keep clients happy. How often should companies revisit their current strategies to ensure that they're consistently measuring client happiness?
Constantly. I don't think it's one of those things that there might be project-based elements to it, and actually you might want to have like deep dives and sprints here and there, but I think constantly being aware of it is massive. We think about this in terms of like pre-product happiness and post-product happiness, and actually both of those, whether it's creating those wow moments pre-product, and then making sure that usage and adoption and value post-product is there, has to be a constant kind of exercise. The happier people are, the more they're using it, the quicker they can see that value, the better off we all are. So if you're not constantly looking at that as a living and breathing part of your business and your platform, then you're going to be missing a trick, and you're going to end up with people that aren't happy. And actually the impact of people not being happy is massive. The impact of having happy clients is even bigger. And that's something I'd love to spend a bit more time on, and I think we could do that perhaps for the next episode. Is what is the impact of happy clients? Because it's so far reaching. Referrals, the fact that they use the product more, therefore the product gets seen more. So I think understanding how you can kind of measure that happiness, and actually the impact that it can have on a sales team, the impact it can have on your marketing collateral, all of those things. Like happy customers are genuinely like a powerful thing to have around your business, and it's about making sure you unlock that for the best of your business. So I think for next time it'd be really good to kind of zero in on that.
Absolutely. Sounds like we have our such an amazing topic for next episode.
So
yeah, episode 9. Time flies when you're having fun. We're almost reaching the 10 episode milestone in this podcast. Nice. Amazing.
Been great.
Yeah. For sure. And I think with that, it's a wrap. If you guys have for people listening in, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out directly to us, and we'll see all of you for episode 9. Have a good one. Bye.